This is about the Salt Lake Temple. Now, we've been following this renovation for years now. Doesn't it seem like it's been like 10 years?
Forever.
It has been forever. And they keep extending it. They keep, every time I visit, I talk to some kind of fabulous senior missionary guide who spills a bunch of beans. I just love it. I go there as often as I can to get information. They're so cute and so well-meaning. It's wonderful. So this headline says, a look into the transformation, the preservationists lament the gutting of the Salt Lake Temple. Church officials insist the renovation honors the past while looking to the future. And this is an article that's in the Tribune. So this is a picture, and I have to laugh. Somebody on Reddit said, oh, look, they've remodeled it to look just like the inside of a megaplex theater. So it does kind of look a little like that. I don't know. Someone who has a temple recommend will have to go in when it's open and let us know what it's all about. So it says sometime in 2019, when Latter-day Saint officials assured the public that the crucial elements of the Salt Lake City's temple interior would be preserved during the massive makeover and seismic upgrade, President Russell M. Nelson made a momentous decision that kind of changed everything. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints would no longer perform the live temple rituals. Have either of you ever been to the Salt Lake Temple to participate in a live ritual? I never have. I've never been to one. Have you attended one?
I did. I did the Salt Lake Temple live session once on a trip out to Salt Lake when I did the fair conference in 2013.
Wow. And the difference here is, for those that don't know, now most people that go to the temple, they sit in the same room and they watch a film of instruction. But in these temples, there were just a few. You actually move from room to room as you're learning new things, and the rooms are decorated to reflect, earth, heaven. So it's a very interactive experience when you do this. And these are how the old temples were. So it says, in which patrons move from room to room in a richly symbolic reenactment of creation, Adam and Eve's expulsion from the garden, humankind's mortal journey, and the ultimate return to God's presence. These have been central to the experience in the temple since the 1840s. So in the wake of Nelson's decision, the whole architecture that supported the narrative had to be reconfigured because they're not going to do this anymore. And that triggered a huge domino effect as far as the architecture and the artwork in the temple. Steps leading upward to reflect eternal progression. You used to actually walk up steps. Those are gone. Wall murals, visually depicting the stages of human development. Those are gone. Historic woodwork, doorknobs, chandeliers, and needlepoint chairs, mostly gone. The spokesman says, of course, the renovation of the Salt Lake Temple honors the past. Doug Anderson speaking, not Aaron Sherinian. And it addresses safety and seismic concerns, enhances accessibility, and creates more space for larger numbers of Latter-day Saints from around the world to worship God from generations to come. It is done, spokesman said, for function and accessibility. Now, the problem is this was done, again, very clandestinely. This is kind of the theme of my temple talk today. Nobody really knew what was happening. There were gorgeous, gorgeous murals in that temple, many of them by Minerva Teichert, a pioneer era artist. And these were fresco-like paintings, meaning that they were sort of adhered to the plaster of the wall. And as people found out, to their horror, in a lot of cases, pictures were taken, but then they were destroyed. The walls were destroyed. In some cases, the panels were taken off and taken to, I'm guessing, the granite mountain vault, to be held there, but so many were destroyed. And, I've talked to somebody who's in this art world, somebody who is horrified by this. And this person told me, and this is a pretty notable person. You would know his name if I say it, but he told me that everything was run through a wood chipper to stop people from taking a little piece home as an idol or an icon, right? Little piece of the temple stone.
Oh, President Nelson did that to go along with the big piece of granite he has for his new headstone from the temple.
This is what I'm saying. This is a tragedy. I understand updating. I understand accessibility. I also think, had there been anyone on any of these committees among the apostles who was maybe, I don't know, an artist, an architect, someone with a more artistic bent, a woman maybe, somebody that was in the decision-making process, I don't think this would happen. As soon as the world, and I'm talking the world art community, became aware of this and realized that the next temple on the chopping block was Manti, All the same kinds of architecture. The gorgeous murals are in Manti. This is next. They're going to do the same thing. They were up in arms. There was a protest in Provo. People wrote letters. Certain people really championed this to try to stop they couldn't stop Salt Lake. It happened without them knowing, but they're going to stop Manti. In another article, it says, in a blow to preservationists and many Latter-day Saints, historic murals of the iconic Salt Lake Temple, some that were painted by Mormon artists who were sent to study in Paris so they could come back and bring this gorgeous artwork to the Salt Lake Valley in the 1890s. They had been removed during the ongoing renovation and will not be returned. The same extraction is also planned for the Pioneer Era Manti Temple, which houses one of Mormonism's artistic gems, a world room painted by the famed Minerva Teichart, who studied at the Chicago Art Institute in the earliest 20th century. And these are pictures of her. She's incredible. If you're not familiar with her Pioneer Era artwork, it's just amazing. Please go online. There was a wonderful exhibit at the church office, church museum for a while. I think that's gone now, but she's incredible. So public outcry from the world art community. And because it was so public, all of a sudden what happened? A revelation. We're not going to remodel as extensively the Manti Temple. We're going to build an Ephraim temple. We've had a revelation. We'll have a working temple, then we'll kind of have an ornamental temple. And so that's what happened. The revelation for the Ephraim temple happened, and most of the artwork is preserved there. And I'll show you some differences here just really quickly. This is Salt Lake. So no, actually this is Manti. So the one on the left is the original Minerva paintings and how it was. And then you have their update. So it's updated, but the murals are preserved. That's the important part. If anyone attended that open house, please let us know in the comments because that was fascinating. Here are some examples of the Salt Lake Temple. Here's what you had before. Here's what it's been renovated to. Again, just updated, but some of these gorgeous murals from before are just gone, completely gone, like destroyed. Here was the garden room. That was before. Here you can see after. Very interesting. I mean, I'm kind of sad. I'll try to go to the open house. I was going to say I don't get to go in. Here you can see the little staircase leading up. And then you see the renovated one there on the bottom. So you can find all these pictures online. This is one of my favorites here, a very old picture of the celestial room. And on the very bottom left, you see what the celestial room looks like now. But if you look at the bottom right, there's this thing called the woman at the veil. And it's actually a little piece of artwork that if you look in the top two pictures, it was over the veil. There it is and there it is. It's a woman, right? Well, it's not there anymore if you look at the picture on the bottom left. And this piece of art was actually chosen by Don Carlos Young, son of Brigham Young, the architect of the, back in the day, 1800s Salt Lake Temple. And he fell in love with this statue in New York. He brought it. He knocked the wings off it so that the brethren wouldn't be upset. And it's been hanging up there over the veil for 100 years, but not anymore. It's gone. So I don't know what you want to read into that, but they took away the woman at the veil, not there anymore.
Are those two children on either side of the woman?
Those are cherubim, yeah. And they were used kind of as an example to do this. I guess the ceiling sort of had something like that in the earlier days. So anyway, it's interesting temple news. I'm glad the Manti Temple was saved. I'm sad about the Salt Lake Temple, and that's just a piece of history, I guess.
As long as they still have the spittoon.
A lot of temple news.
As long as they still have the spittoon there, I'm okay.
You got to have the spittoon. Yeah. Why don't you explain that? A lot of our viewers don't know what you're talking about.
I was looking for that picture just now, RFM, and I don't see him in this one, but I was looking for that photo because I wanted to put it up on the screen and let folks see that. Go ahead. By the way, please explain. I'll keep looking while you're chatting.
There used to be a spittoon in the Salt Lake Temple.
Yep.
Because people would go in there apparently and chew and spit, and they wanted to have a spittoon so it wasn't all over the floor. It's interesting they didn't come up with that idea for, what was it, the School of the Prophets and the 8x8 foot log cabin where Emma was upset about having to clean up all the spit tobacco on the floor. So she complained to Joseph, and Joseph got a revelation from God saying, no Mormon ever can chew tobacco unless they're in the celestial room of the Salt Lake Temple, I guess.
It's where it all happens.